words
Oh, yeah, sorry. No hair and makeup, I'm afraid, Charlotte, sorry. The budget doesn't stretch to that this year, but we might do for next year. So welcome Charlotte Little, everybody. Round of applause for Charlotte Little, the Access Consultant for Sundance. Yay! Woo!
Thank you.
Sorry, I get a little bit Kermit the Frog. I must calm down. So, Charlotte, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
So you are the Access Consultant for Sundance Film Festival London. So is this the first time you've done this, or have you been here before?
So last year I worked as an Access Consultant, and then this year I'm working with Megan Mitchell as well as an Access Consultant. So.
Okay. Can I ask you just to hold the microphone just a little bit closer? That's it. Thank you. And so tell us, what have you been doing? What's your day like? What do you do as Access Consultant for Sundance London?
I mean, it starts, a few months before the actual festival, so we'll be looking at acquiring subtitle and AD files for the films, looking at venue access, looking at marketing and social media, making sure that's accessible for our audiences, looking at outreach and engaging audiences with access needs. So it's a very holistic approach rather than just caption showings, so we really try to make sure that there's staff awareness, that it's a accessible and enjoyable experience for audiences who might be a bit daunted and a bit nervous about going to the cinema because it's not been a welcoming environment for them before. So it's quite a holistic approach.
Yeah, and the time that it takes to organise these things, from when I used to manage a cinema in Brighton, I know that for a lot of people, you have to book a lot in advance. You need to know so much about the site. So did you have a tour of the site? Is that online for people to be able to see? Or
So because of last year, we already had, an updated accessibility page on the Picture House Central website, and we just worked with the staff here to look into any other updates, any information about the list, about induction loops, about AD. I didn't have to actually come. I live in Edinburgh, so I didn't have to actually travel all the way down here, but just working with the staff who are already much more familiar, and also making sure that they're aware as well of what facilities are here. So that was one part of the process,
And have you had any feedback so far from people saying that they've had a much better experience or their experience has improved?
It's still the last day of the festival, but we are seeing with Matchbox Cine's kind of live tweeting that getting some engagement, and I know the descriptive subtitles showing they're going well. We have had some good feedback, but we're wanting to welcome all feedback on how to improve, because it's not it's something that has to be constantly reassessed and developed and kind of looked at different perspectives and different kind of experiences as well, because me and Megan, we're very experienced, but we are just two people, and we want to make sure that we're not the singular spokesperson for every audience member that might have access needs. So we really do welcome all feedback and making sure we kind of use that moving forward for future Sundance editions.
So if people would like to feedback, where can they go to feedback to you?
They could email us. Well, email me at charlotte@matchboxcine.com.
Matchboxcine, yes.
Yeah, and we'd be more than happy to welcome all feedback and look at how we can improve.
Yes, because it is just an ongoing conversation. There's no one size fits all. And I've really been very appreciative, I suppose, of recent years of the non-obvious disabilities and things like that, and how to treat people who, you don't have to see something to prove that there's an issue that you need some help with.
Yeah, exactly.
So things like that are so important, aren't they?
Yeah, exactly. And disability is a part of human diversity.
Yes,
I think, and I think everyone, most people are affected by inaccessibility or disability or health issues at some point in their lives.
Yes.
Even if you have a broken leg, and you need to use the lifts. And I'm sure if you've broken your leg and had to be in a cast for 6 months or whatever, you will have realized how much more difficult it is to get around and get into places. So I really think that when it comes to access, that it should just really be a part of the process rather than tacked on at the end. It really should be embedded from the very beginning that you start a project of any sort, not just in film exhibition, across all walks of life. But yeah, so I think even just talking about it and kind of destigmatization and just being so open and frank about it rather than just like hiding it away in the corner. That's very much the approach we want to take.
Absolutely. And I know that you've thought that there's been some really positive things that have come out from the pandemic and festivals having to go online and becoming hybrid. And we really want to take that forward, but that mustn't be an excuse for not doing your best at live festivals. Do you want to tell me a bit more about that?
Yeah, so I mean, personally, I'm hard of hearing and visually impaired myself. So I have a very personal experience as a film fan with access needs, and it's not always been easy for me to go to film screenings and to film festivals. And when the pandemic came along and everything went online, it meant that I could go to some film festivals for the first time ever, and be able to access captions as well, because just of the format. So I really hope that although we look at hybrid accessibility and hybrid formats for festivals, that we don't just depend on digital access, but we still look at how we can improve access for live in-person events. So simultaneously working on those two things, digital access and in-person access. I think that's the way forward, really.
It is, and it's really exciting.
Yeah, exactly. I think there's so much potential, and I think could be really groundbreaking. I really hope people take it in its stride.
Yes. And have you seen We Met in Virtual Reality?
I haven't had the pleasure of seeing that yet, but I sat in for the talk.
Yes.
So that's very exciting. And the use of sign language in that film.
Wasn't
as
that
well.
great?
Very exciting.
Yes.
And I think we're seeing more and more films that feature sign language and other kind of communication methods as well. So.
And to be in such a strange, bizarre place, but for it all to feel so normal and just as it should be, I just was so encouraged that this is what young filmmakers are looking at and making.
Yeah, exactly. It's just about that exposure, really, and those conversations, and not just hiding away in a box.
So Charlotte, tell me about your own programming. So you've got your pop-up cinema online. So what's that called again?
It's called Caption This Cinema.
Yes.
Yeah.
So tell us about what you're doing on there.
Yeah, so I mean, I graduated during the pandemic, which wasn't a super fun time. And I wanted to do some programming, and I did a little bit in Film Society during university. And I was trying to look for ways to kind of develop my own skills as a programmer. And Cinema for All, I did a training scheme with them and kind of built those skills up and used the bursary to create my own pop-up cinema. But I really wanted to dedicate it to access and to diverse storytelling, especially disability stories. So,
yes.
I launched it online last year, and the inaugural screening was of a documentary called Vision Portraits, which was about 4 visually impaired people who use art, and it's about how their sight loss influences their art. So I haven't been able to do a screening since then, but I am hoping to kind of look at doing a hybrid format in the future.
Yes.
So just basically everything I've been talking about just now. So I'm excited to see where that goes, and hopefully later this summer be able to put on an event online and in person. So.
Oh, brilliant! Well, I'm following you now on Twitter, so I want to hear all about that. Yes. And finally, Captain Captions. Tell us about your webpage.
Yeah, so again, graduated in the pandemic, and I started working freelance as an access consultant in film exhibition. I was doing a bit of film writing and programming as well. So I've got a website. Captain Captions tongue twister, so that just kind of details all the work I've been doing. But I work for Matchbox Cine, an access consultant, So yeah, please do check out my website and check out Matchbox Cine as well.
Charlotte Little, thank you so much for joining me today at Sundance Film Festival 2022, and I look forward to seeing you next year in
Thank you so
2023.
much. Thank
A round of applause for Charlotte, please, everyone. Woo!